In a significant development in the ongoing Ukraine-Russia war, former U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that he is engaged in discussions with Russian President Vladimir Putin to seek an end to the conflict that has claimed countless lives since its inception. In an exclusive interview aboard Air Force One, Trump emphasized Putin's desire to see people stop dying, reflecting a humanitarian urgency amidst the protracted violence. He noted all those dead people. Young beautiful people. They're like your kids, 2 million of them, and for no reason. Trump's assertion that the conflict could have been avoided under his administration in 2022 underscores the deep political rifts and differing approaches to foreign policy that have characterized U.S. leadership since then. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, however, was non-committal regarding the conversations, stating he could neither confirm nor deny the reported exchanges. This ambiguity highlights the complicated dynamics at play as Trump prepares for a potential meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky next week, where discussions are expected to revolve around Ukraine's resistance to Russian aggression. As these diplomatic overtures unfold, North Korea has voiced its support for Russia's military actions in Ukraine. Kim Jong Un, the North Korean leader, described Russia's efforts as a just cause aimed at defending its sovereignty and territorial integrity. This declaration marks a notable shift as North Korea positions itself in solidarity with Russia, further complicating the geopolitical landscape. Analysts interpret this as a bid to strengthen ties and possibly secure military technology exchanges, potentially including drones and missile technology, as North Korea seeks to enhance its own military capabilities. On the battlefield, the situation remains dire. Russia continues to face strong resistance from Ukrainian forces, particularly in strategic locations such as Zaporizhia and the Kursk region. Recent reports indicate that Russian troops have repelled multiple Ukrainian counterattacks, while Ukrainian forces have made notable advances capturing key territories. The ongoing conflict has also seen an alarming increase in reports of executions of Ukrainian soldiers in Russian custody, raising concerns about human rights violations amid the chaos of war. The U.S. response to these developments has been multifaceted. Trump has suggested that any future military aid to Ukraine could be tied to access to its rare earth minerals, which are crucial for various high-tech industries. This proposal raises eyebrows and indicates a potential transactional approach to international assistance, which could redefine traditional alliances and support mechanisms. Furthermore, the context of the war is evolving as the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania have severed ties with the Soviet-era power grid, taking significant steps toward energy independence from Russia. This move is part of a broader strategy to integrate their energy systems with that of the European Union, bolstering regional security against Russian aggression. As the international community watches these developments closely, the possibility of a negotiated peace remains uncertain. The Kremlin's military buildup and continued offensives suggest a reluctance to engage in meaningful dialogue, while Ukraine and its allies emphasize the need for a resolution that respects Ukraine's territorial integrity. The upcoming meetings between Trump and Zelensky could reveal whether there is a viable path toward de-escalation or if the conflict will persist as both sides prepare for a potentially protracted struggle. The stakes are high, with implications not only for Ukraine and Russia but for global security and stability as well. In a rapidly evolving geopolitical landscape, the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia continues to dominate headlines, particularly with recent statements from key global leaders. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has revealed that he is in discussions with Russian President Vladimir Putin regarding the cessation of hostilities in Ukraine. Meanwhile, North Korean leader Kim Jong Un has publicly reaffirmed his country's support for Russia's military actions, framing them as a just cause. In a recent interview aboard Air Force One, Trump disclosed to the New York Post that he has communicated with Putin about ending the war. Putin wants to see people stop dying, Trump remarked, though he refrained from detailing the frequency of their conversations. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov, however, has neither confirmed nor denied these discussions, leaving the dynamics of U.S.-Russia communication shrouded in ambiguity. Next week Trump is expected to meet with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, a visit that comes at a time when the war is intensifying. Zelensky has indicated that the upcoming weeks could be very intensive in diplomacy, emphasizing the urgency of finding a resolution to the conflict that has ravaged Ukraine since 2022. As part of these discussions, Trump has controversially suggested that Ukraine should grant the United States access to its rare earth minerals in exchange for military aid, further complicating the intricate web of international relations surrounding the war. In a striking development, Kim Jong Un has publicly declared North Korea's unwavering support for Russia's actions in Ukraine, stating that the North Korean army will invariably support and encourage the just cause of the Russian army. This endorsement marks a significant shift in North Korea's foreign policy posture, aligning itself more closely with Russia amid heightened tensions with the West. As the conflict rages on, the military situation remains precarious. Reports indicate that Russian forces have resisted multiple Ukrainian counterattacks in the Kursk region despite Ukraine making some advances. The Ukrainian military claims to have shot down a significant number of drones launched by Russia in recent attacks, showcasing their ongoing defensive capabilities. Moreover, the conflict's ramifications extend beyond battlefield engagements. Recent analyses suggest that as Russia fortifies its military capabilities, the Kremlin appears disinterested in genuine negotiations for peace, instead focusing on maintaining a prolonged conflict. Ukrainian President Zelensky has noted the formation of new Russian military divisions, which could indicate a hardening of Moscow's stance against any potential peace talks. The geopolitical implications of these developments are profound. With Trump's potential return to power looming on the horizon, there are concerns that any peace deal brokered could marginalize Ukraine's interests, particularly if it involves concessions that jeopardize its sovereignty or territorial integrity. The specter of North Korean involvement in the conflict adds another layer of complexity as the regime seeks to bolster its military capabilities through cooperation with Russia. As the situation unfolds, the international community watches closely. The potential for diplomatic breakthroughs remains, but the path forward is fraught with challenges. The coming weeks will likely be critical in shaping the future of the conflict, with Ukraine striving to reclaim its territory while navigating the shifting allegiances and ambitions of global powers. The prospects for peace remain uncertain, hinging on the interplay of military strategies and diplomatic negotiations. In an exclusive interview aboard Air Force One, former President Donald Trump revealed that he has had recent conversations with Russian President Vladimir Putin aiming to negotiate an end to the ongoing war in Ukraine. This revelation comes as the conflict nears its third anniversary, a war that Trump claims would not have occurred had he been in office in 2022. "I always had a good relationship with Putin," he stated, contrasting his approach with that of President Joe Biden, whom he labeled an embarrassment to our nation. Trump's comments reflect a deep concern for the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Ukraine, where an estimated 2 million lives have been lost since the onset of the war. He wants to see people stop dying, Trump quoted Putin during their discussions, emphasizing the need for a swift resolution to the conflict. "Every day people are dying. This war is so bad in Ukraine. I want to end this damn thing," he added, invoking the dramatic toll of the conflict on both Ukrainian and Russian soldiers, whom he likened to his own children. Despite his optimistic tone, Trump did not divulge how many times he and Putin have spoken, nor did he offer detailed insights into the nature of his proposed peace plan. However, he has articulated a vision where he seeks to negotiate a deal that would involve Ukraine granting access to its significant rare earth minerals and gas resources in exchange for security assurances amid a potential peace settlement. The former president's economic strategy appears to be a key aspect of his approach, as he aims to strike a $500 million deal with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who is scheduled to meet with Vice President J.D. Vance at the Munich Security Conference next week. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov has refrained from confirming Trump's claims, stating that he was unaware of any direct communications between the two leaders. Peskov noted that while contacts between Washington and Moscow have intensified, the specific nature of those discussions remains ambiguous. Current estimates indicate staggering casualties from the war, with Ukrainian officials reporting around 43,000 military deaths and 370,000 injuries, while Russian losses are believed to exceed 198,000 fatalities. As the geopolitical landscape shifts, Trump has also expressed interest in addressing tensions with Iran, stating that he prefers negotiating a non-nuclear deal rather than resorting to military action. He believes that a successful agreement could prevent Israeli military actions against Iran, although he declined to detail potential terms, citing their sensitive nature. In the context of a changing global order, Trump's willingness to engage with both Russia and Iran highlights his belief in direct negotiation as a means to resolve conflicts. His comments reflect a broader strategy that could reshape U.S. foreign policy, particularly if he returns to the presidency in 2024. As the Munich Security Conference approaches, where discussions of European security and the implications of the ongoing war in Ukraine take center stage, the diplomatic landscape remains fraught with complex challenges. The coming days may reveal whether Trump's aspirations for peace can manifest in actionable agreements or whether the cycle of conflict will continue. As the conflict in Ukraine continues to unfold, the question of whether presidential elections will take place in 2025 looms large. President Volodymyr Zelensky faces mounting pressure to address this issue, especially as the war with Russia has now persisted for nearly 3 years, leading to increasing calls for democratic processes to be reinstated. On February 9, 2025, Zelensky reiterated his position in an interview, stating, "The hot phase of the war will end, and when martial law is lifted, elections will be announced." However, the feasibility of holding elections amidst ongoing hostilities remains a contentious topic among experts and political leaders alike. The postponement of elections originally scheduled for the spring of 2024 has not only drawn attention domestically but has also caught the eye of international observers. Recent comments from Keith Kellogg, the new U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine and Russia, have further fueled discussions. Kellogg emphasized the importance of elections for democracy and suggested that they could potentially be held before the end of the year, especially if a truce with Moscow could be negotiated. "Elections are good for democracy," he stated, reflecting a sentiment echoed by certain U.S. politicians over the past year. Yet the situation is complicated by the legal framework in Ukraine, which prohibits elections under martial law. This provision has been a point of contention for the Kremlin, with President Vladimir Putin questioning Zelensky's legitimacy as president due to the election delay. Moscow has indicated that it would only be willing to negotiate peace if Ukraine commits to holding elections, a stance viewed by some analysts as an attempt to sow discord within Ukraine during a critical period. John Herbst, a former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, cautioned against the idea of using elections as a bargaining chip in negotiations, labeling it a miscalculation that could exacerbate the ongoing conflict. He pointed out that conditions necessary for a fair election, including a stable security environment and the absence of Russian military pressure, are far from present. The OSCE's former Secretary General Thomas Greminger echoed this concern, arguing that under current conditions it is simply not possible to hold free and fair elections. He highlighted the risk of instability if elections were called prematurely, drawing on lessons from other regions that have faced similar circumstances. The potential implications of holding elections during wartime are significant. Analysts warn that not only could the electoral process be compromised, but it could also provide an opportunity for Russian forces to escalate military actions while Ukraine is preoccupied with the election cycle. The notion of a demilitarized zone, increased weapon supplies, and the presence of European troops have been proposed as prerequisites for a viable electoral process, yet consensus on these conditions remains elusive. Amidst this backdrop, the political climate in Ukraine is becoming increasingly fraught. With the war not going favorably for Ukraine and its leader having secured a decisive victory in the last election in 2019, observers like Winfried Schneider-Dieters argue that there is little justification for a leadership change at this juncture. He noted that the absence of a clear path toward stability would further complicate electoral prospects. With the U.S. administration emphasizing the importance of elections as a means to bolster Ukraine's democracy, the dynamics of international diplomacy also play a crucial role. As President Trump has recently expressed a desire to negotiate an end to the conflict. The intersection of these diplomatic efforts with Ukraine's internal political landscape will be closely watched. As Ukraine grapples with the intricacies of its political future, the outcome of these discussions will likely hinge on both the military situation on the ground and the international community's response. The upcoming weeks may prove pivotal as Zelensky navigates the pressures of maintaining democratic legitimacy while ensuring Ukraine's sovereignty and security in the face of ongoing aggression. Whether elections can be realized in such a volatile environment remains to be seen, but the stakes for Ukraine's future are undeniably high.